Hey guys, this is Justin with Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and this is our ride review of the 2018 KTM 250 XC-W with fuel injection. All right guys, we're pretty excited to finally get our hands on one of these fuel injected two-strokes. Now, I just did a first look video where I go over the details of the bike, so be sure and check that out. In this video, we're gonna take it for a burn, see how it does. Now, the KTM engineers tell us that there really is no power difference between the carbureted model and the new fuel injected model, but they do say that it's smoother, it's more tractable. So we're gonna get on this thing and see how it does. Now we're gonna compare this to a 2017 carbureted version to just kind of see if we can see any differences between the two. So let's get to it. All right, so we've had about an hour or so on these two bikes, switching back and forth, hitting a little single track, some nice hill climbs, did a bunch of drag races, and I gotta say that the 2017 is a dang good bike. In 2017, they got a lot of changes, the counterbalance in the motor, suspension was good. So my biggest concern for the 2018 with fuel injection was that it wouldn't be as good, that maybe it would lack a little bit of power or whatever. Thankfully, this bike is surprisingly like a carbureted bike. It is no slower. I don't feel like it's lacking anything. It's just got the benefits of having EFIs. Another minor difference is when you're going up hills, you know, rocky hills, kind of like this one, even steeper ones. This thing just tractors up, it's so smooth. The power is perfectly linear. Now the carbureted version is pretty dang good too, but you will notice slight rough spots, especially, you know, right before the bike really, you know, gets into the meat of the power. There's a little rough spot that this thing just doesn't have. There's no rough spot on this. Now, we did some drag races a little bit ago, and we'll do some here again in a minute. You know, we did, you know, your normal motocross start, and then we did some rolling starts. So we'd be in second gear and then just roll on the power while we're already moving. And the only advantage we could see is maybe my weight advantage, or lack of weight advantage, I should say. It didn't matter if I was on the carbureted bike or the fuel injected bike, they pulled the exact same every time. So that makes me happy. I wasn't expecting any more power out of the fuel injection, but I was really worried about them ruining the awesome power that bike already has. So as far as fuel injection goes, I feel pretty good about it. I'm not seeing any downside to it. The bike does weigh 5 or 6 pounds more than the bike without it. Do you notice that? Absolutely not. In fact, this bike feels lighter, and it more has to do with handlebar position and things, but no, you don't notice the few pounds that it gained. Bottom line, with fuel injection, I'm not seeing any negatives to it. Now, I'm not racing motocross or anything, but for this kind of riding, in the mountains, in the desert, technical, rocky stuff, this thing is sweet. Here's a nice little hill to demonstrate how smooth this thing is. Now, whether or not that had anything to do with the carb, I don't know. But this thing is really electric up that stuff. All right, we're gonna switch it up. Get a feel for the other one for a minute. And I'll just follow you back down. One thing I've noticed so far with the starting is the fuel injected 18 will crank a couple times before it starts. And these carbureted ones, you barely touch them and they fire up. I don't think that's a big deal, but it's a minor difference between the two. Now let's talk about suspension. I've been riding the 17 Husky 300, which is pretty close to the same bike. The difference is the suspension on the the TX 300 is it's got the air fork, as does this KTM. And I really like the air fork. I had good luck with it. It never did anything weird. It was predictable. Comparing the two today, and I have ridden the Explorer fork a little bit on the TE 150, but the Explorer fork is great. It takes the little rocks and stuff a little bit better than the air fork. It's also predictable like the air fork, which in my book is huge. Now I am coming off the linkage suspension and onto the PDS, and both of us, Ryan was just commenting how well the back end felt on that new one compared to his with the linkage. I think this slower, choppier technical trail stuff, the PDS works better on. They say the linkage works better at whoops and higher speed stuff. I don't know how much different they are, but so far I like the PDS. Feels great. Now we're not getting on the pipe too much in these trees, but when you do, both bikes really go. Now I don't know if you could hear that coming out of that corner, but I was in a little too high of a gear, and it took it a second to get going. It seems like the fuel injected one takes off a little bit quicker when I do that. I think I can just lug it a little bit more. And best of all, these two strokes feel so light. You hop on a 4-stroke and then back on these and you're just amazed at how light they feel. And a lot of that's because of the counterbalance in these engines. They're so smooth. It makes them feel lighter. I don't know what it is, but as far as the final touches go, the braking is awesome as always. KTM and Husky have great Brembo brakes. Clutch feels good. I think while we're at the road, we'll do a couple drag races. We'll start in second gear and just kind of roll the power on. He got me a little bit there. I think he got to third a little bit quicker. But we've done this a dozen times or so and swapped back and forth, and we're not really seeing any difference, which is a good thing because both bikes rip. Let's do it again. Anyway, like I say, we've done that about a dozen times, swap back and forth. No real difference, kind of depends on who shifts sooner, I think, but both bikes rip. All right, guys, so my biggest fear getting this bike was that it wouldn't be as good as my 17 carbureted version. I'm happy to say that this bike rips. It's surprisingly not a lot different than the carbureted version, which is a good thing. It is a little bit smoother and more tractable on those tight technical hills, but other than that, it's about the same. Now, fuel injection on two strokes is definitely the future. It's not going away. I'm really happy that KTM took their time with it, did it right the first time, and came out with something that works really well. Now, if there's any points on this bike review that I missed, please leave those in the comments below. Subscribe for more bike tests, bike builds, product reviews, and don't forget to check out our website for all your parts, apparel, and accessory needs. Thanks for watching.